Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom for the PlayStation 2, Nintendo GameCube, and of course Xbox, specifically for those three platforms I was talking about earlier. So, last time we have managed to able to first time exploring around SpongeBob's dream, despite we have some ridiculous amount of death situations, most notably with of course the forms of Mr. Krabs' dream, because Jesus Christ, they put in so many enemies on that particular dream. But I digress. So today for this episode is the fact that we are also able to wrap things up completely in terms of not only by the forms of SpongeBob's dream, but also we're also able to conclude every single Golden Spatulas for both Mr. Krabs and Patrick essentially, but of course we'll discuss more onto those until in any second.
Who puts challenges in their own dreams?
Squirrels? We're tough like that.
Oh, you'll need to be real tough to make this series of swings.
I could do it in my sleep.
You are asleep.
As I said, in my sleep.
Well, there's a golden spatula out there for you if you make it far enough.
I'll do it so fast, it'll make your head spin faster than a horny toad on a merry-go-round.
Why can't I ever just dream normal dreams of world domination?
So anyways, so to begin with, we need to use Sandy's lasso, so that way we can able to make our way to that particular building over there, so that way we can not only just try to able to get ourselves into, I would say, the next Golden Spatula for the sake of the forms of SpongeBob's dream world as a result for that matter, but also I think I get the sense of feeling that it will able to contain one of those Patrick socks, which either way though, that might be a little bit more obvious for that specific solutions that we can think of, but at least on the up note is the fact that we would be eventually trying to able to actually find a couple of those particular Patrick socks in particular, which either way though we'll talk more about it whenever we're able to actually start hunting for them. So as a result of that specific stuff for this matter, all we need to do in this particular Golden Spatula mission is the fact that, well, generally speaking of something, is the fact that we haven't exactly got every single Patrick sock during the forms of you know, the entirety of this world so far, which is, bizarrely enough as it is, well, at least despite the fact that we've only got about 5 more of those Patrick socks left specifically, so that way we can able to actually just to find those, and eventually we'll get ourselves the final Golden Spatula from Patrick. So even then, now we got ourselves about 91 of those Golden Spatulas so far. So, relatively speaking, we're pretty much almost done here. So, but even then though, I'm presuming that we've only got about a few more things to take care of. Specifically for, you know, if you go over there, this is where we get ourselves, I would say, the first Patrick sock in terms of SpongeBob's dream, as far as I'm aware. But, seemingly to say, I don't think you can able to come across into one of Patrick's socks during the actual main platforming section for SpongeBob's dream itself. So, I think there are about, I would say, 3 socks in Sandy's segment, and also there was going to be one in, I would say I've accidentally bypassed one during the forms of in Mr. Krabs' dream, and I believe there's also going to be one from Squidward's dream as well. So hopefully we would be able to actually just, well, come across into those particular, well, segments worth noting for, and especially noticeable along the way that we could realistically try to able to actually grab the insane amount of those shiny objects as soon as possible. So even then though, because chances are that, you know, we are still nearly at the end of the game though, which even then though, we still got a couple of things to able to be focusing on, so but either way though, there's not much else I can talk about. Okay, another jump cut right there, because I assumed to able to realize that I accidentally just went into the wrong route in order to able to go to, well, automatically go towards us to the forms of Patrick's next sock. Because instead of going on to the left portion, as you can see on screen, that I've already accidentally did, ever since during a few minutes ago, instead, go onto the right and then double jump at the right time, and then if you seriously time your lasso correctly, then you would be able to actually go onto this different part right here and able to get another set of shiny objects to top it off as well. And also you get yourselves the, what else? The second Patrick sock. Again, there are about 5 of these in total for the sake of this world, but that doesn't end off here because there's also another Patrick sock which appears to be somewhere nearby after dodging a lot of those cows with those tossing pies, as you remember from the previous episode of this so far. So, but either way though, we can expect this much. So, anyways, we go here and try to ignore these robots as much as possible. And that way we can get ourselves the forms of the, what else? Another Patrick sock along the way. So, I think, seemingly to say, we've already got about one more golden spatula left in terms of this world. So, it doesn't feel that much long, or, well, despite the fact that I just keep on dying a lot in terms of the, you know, with the enemy endurance run in Mr. Krabs stream or something like that. So, I must admit though, that's, yeah, it just gives me a lot of, like, trial and error during the, you know, Mr. Krabs stream. I apologize with that commentary, it's going a little bit slightly off for the sake of time. This is pretty obvious because of how the fact that we're actually getting very close towards the end. And second, there's not much else I can really try to talk about this at this point in time, folks, apart from the fact that, well, you guys should probably already know. So either way though, we'll go ahead and leave it to that. So anyways, let's warp back into this particular section right here, in this case Mr. Krabs stream, and that way, because of that, we need to get ourselves the next remaining Patrick sock. But before we get onto that actually, let me just go ahead and just see if how the fact that with that, oh yeah, we can't go back from there because I don't think it's possible to do that. So, but either way though, we'll just head back in here just in case we can able to just hopefully try to find the next sock. Luckily, you don't have to deal with the forms of that particular enemy's endurance run again, or else if you really want to go after more shiny objects, more power to you, because otherwise you're gonna get wrecked a lot for the sake of the entire battle arena like this. So, but I digress. So there's another Patrick sock on here, and I think, fundamentally speaking, we've got one more of the Patrick sock left, and also same applies to, as I said before, that we've already got about one more golden spatula left until we're able to actually completely done with not only SpongeBob's Dream World, but also the almost the entire everything about it, apart from the couple of those golden spatulas that we might still try to consider getting during the forms of Mr. Krabs' shiny objects exchanging system.
For heaven's sake, boy, cover your ears.
Mr. Krabs? What are you doing in Squidward's dream?
Hard time, boy. Or at least it feels like it. Do you think you can make it across this sheet of music to the golden spatula on Squidward's big nose?
Don't worry, Mr. Krabs. I'll end this challenge on a high note.
Good luck, boy. When you get there, try to wake him up. I'm running out of aspirin.
Okay, so let us begin with the forms of that particular dream segment that I totally forgot since in the last video. And that is of course Squidward's dream, which appears to be a lot of platforming heavy, which, you know, kind of like the same thing for Sandy's dream, except the fact that obviously Squidward, he's a big fan of, you know, performing music and artistic, as you can see in the background, as you can see right there. Definitely a little bit more of it kind of reminds me like a Super Mario Sunshine platforming-esque kind of segment, because I say that because, well, thankfully there are multiple checkpoints around here, assuming if you're able to actually bypass for certain obstacles and all that stuff. So thankfully you can able to actually just to come across into that particular generous checkpoint, assuming if you're able to try to be a little bit more careful enough, assuming if you're able to try to avoid a lot of like bottomless pits, and especially noticeable for, well, basically the majority of bottomless pits that you have to really try to avoid, which, you know, can be also the same applies in the Sandy's dream segment, or else unlike in Patrick's dream scenario, there's just nothing else apart from the fact that it just gives you that particular reward, and that's pretty much about it. So, but I digress. So anyway, let's go ahead and just, dang it. that could be pretty tricky. Oh yeah, you need to avoid that, so just in case you really can't afford to get hit right there. So, just want to classify that for something. So, anywho, let's go ahead and keep on using those trombones. I don't know exactly how do I explain about the forms of some of these musical instruments specifically. And as you can see on screen right there, that I saw there was the final Patrick sock. So we can at least try to able to actually just to grab that. But before we grab that, let me just go ahead and get good timing with that jump. And when you've done so already, there we go. We've obtained the final Patrick sock in the whole game. So even then, all we need to do is just basically we need to exchange the final 10 of those Patrick sock, and hopefully we'll get ourselves the final golden spatula from Patrick. And as far as everything else, as far as I'm concerned, well, we'll try to go ahead and well, I've no idea why I just accidentally just fell off right there. This is most notably because I accidentally just managed to ignore that particular teleporting box, which I could have normally tried to do that from the very beginning, but it turns out I didn't. So either way though, whatever. But hey, at least on the upside though is the fact that I at least managed to able to got the checkpoint right there, so that way I can able to, well, continue when I left off. So even then though, there's not much else to it. So, but either way though, now let's go ahead and just avoid, you know, the actual bottomless pits, and hopefully, well, again, the double jump right there is super useful, especially noticeable how the fact that if you really want to get yourselves your altitude, mid-air momentum right there, thankfully you can able to actually utilize with that particular spin attack while you're mid-air, so that way you can able to be perfectly safe from there, and there goes my another death right there, so... Whoops. Anyway, now I apologize of that particular commentary as well, by the way, because I was incredibly thirsty, metaphorically speaking, and as a result, I will, after what I've pretty much done with this recording session, then I'll be, drinking a lot of drink, basically, until whenever I gain my breath back. So, even then, though, because chances are, not much else has been talking about that, well, there's not much else I can say, because as a result, that's we're actually getting pretty close. So, yeah, specifically towards the end of this game, basically, so... Anyways, and I think the actual mission itself, all you have to do is all you need to do, rather, is pretty simple. You have to basically, we need to make our way towards the end, specifically for the sake of this point right here, and that way you would able to actually come across into the next golden spatula and a teleporting box. So, but either way though, that pretty much takes care of that particular mission, and we've only got about 8 more golden spatulas left until we're able to actually get ourselves all 100 of those golden spatulas. So, things self-explanatory for the most part though, or things can get pretty much self-explanatory for the majority of the time. So, but either way though, there's not much else we can able to think about that. So yeah, there we go folks, I think that pretty much takes care of everything in terms of SpongeBob's Dream World. And again, as I said this before, since Junior Forms have been, I would say in last Thursday or something, it's actually a pretty unique world, which it always kind of reminds me of like a Super Mario Sunshine vibe, except the fact that it's usually based off of around, you know, just the SpongeBob TV cartoon series, as far as you already know. So yeah, as a result of that kinds of stuff, though, that's all I can really say about this for the most part for the sake of time. And, I suppose before we end off this video, actually, I just wanted able to point things out right away. Even though originally I was gonna able to actually just to go ahead and ignore, the actual emphasis on the forms of the off-screen kind of way, like, you know, trying to able to actually keep on grinding for more of those shiny objects, as far as you're already aware. But basically, what I'm gonna do here is the fact that first of all, before we get onto that, let me just go ahead and even though the fastest way you can able to actually traverse through Bikini Bottom's hub world is the fact that you can able to actually obtain that particular the ball power-up, as you can see right there, so that way we can able to actually traverse through different parts throughout, so that way we would be able to not only, oh jeez Louise, I'm almost gonna get myself hurt, journey from those dynamite looking boxes, as you can see right there, But let's obtain the final golden spatula from Patrick, and seems that we've not exactly done yet, because obviously I'm miles able to actually just to go ahead and grab 5 more of those golden spatulas for the sake of this video. And that is, I'm going to show you guys the best strategy for able to actually just to grind even more shiny objects, as you can tell. And that is go to Goo Lagoon, and basically we need to get onto that specific spot. You know, with the forms of that particular ginormous sandcastle bit, when you were able to actually just to go and just move on to, well, let's just say, for example, if I go to, I would say just into this particular mission right here. Oh wait, no, scratch that. It was King of the Castle or something, or though I may be wrong, but then again, I must admit that I do apologize for that particular, the lack of skills I was trying to able to actually just to memorize with. Especially noticeable how, you know, everything else still goes a bit downhill, especially noticeable with some other things to classify for something, so, but I digress. So yeah, when you know what the forms of that particular tower segment in Journey forms of it, well, I'll show this to you in just any moment's notice, but actually, is there any way we can able to go in here and then able to actually skip the entire the actual the rising water section or something? Although if that's the case, yeah, that's the part I was going to be thinking of. We go in here and then head back onto the actual bridge section, as you can see, completely filled with loading screens, by the way. And then when you were at it, then basically it's about time to able to actually just to do some fun parts. Specifically, if we go back from here and try to let those tikis get destroyed, including the actual hard steel versions of themselves. And that way we need to utilize the bubble missile ability, so that way we could able to destroy a whole bunch of those tikis from the top of that particular sandcastle, by the way. And then after that though, take a dev as much as you can, and then that way you would able to do this vice versa. But keep that in mind is the fact that you know what the forms of that particular the combo thing, as you can see on screen. Well, the actual aiming for it is the fact that we need to aim for super ultra mega monster combo, and that way you can get yourselves the best opportunity, so that way you would be able to actually get yourselves a whole bunch of those shiny objects, as you can definitely notice by this point. Now, I can definitely see why that most people seem to able to do this. In fact, I'm just going to show you to you guys, for those of you who have a first time playing through either the original version of this game or the remake version of this game. So that way, this is the best way you can able to actually just to, well, grind for more of those shiny objects, as you can tell, for that specific factor for the sake of time. Which is definitely a little bit more worth it in my eyes, just because of how the fact that, well, it certainly helps out a bit. Especially noticeable how the fact that, you know, with that particular, the theater building that we've already come across into, ever since in Journey Forms of it a couple of parts ago, well, there's also another way you can able to actually just to realize that, I would usually try to able to spend on, you know, just a whole bunch of shiny objects to able to actually access to the actual theater building. But I'm actually going to save that until whenever we get onto the finale portion of this Let's Play, and during at some point on this first day, potentially. Because, well, you guys should probably know at this point in time. So even then, with that being said, again, not much else to talk about apart from the fact that, well, recently I've managed to able to actually enjoy this game so far, which even then though, well, in both the original and the remake version of this game, even for the entirety of this game, I actually really still enjoyed it, even to this day. And I can definitely see why that most people seem to prefer Battle for Bikini Bottom rather than Truthful Square, the video game, just because the Truthful Square video game only took about like 2 hours to complete, and it's also one of the shortest games in terms of, you know, the Heavy Iron Studios kind of SpongeBob games that has ever existed of. So, but either way though, there's not much else I can really talk about this, apart from the fact that we're actually getting, you know, pretty close towards the end now, so even then though, because chances are it's going to be one of those emphasis on that, so. But you know, you get the picture for this point. So either way though, let's take another death so that way we can able to actually let those things respawn. And specifically, that we would be able to actually just to go ahead and just keep doing this vice versa though, really. So yeah, that's all I can really talk about that. So either way though, I suppose another thing I should probably talk about this, and that was the fact that, well, usually, relatively speaking, I've managed to play some of the other games on my own time, specifically Sonic Adventure 2 for the Sega Dreamcast version, so that way I could be able to actually just do 100% that particular version of that particular Sonic Adventure 2 done and finished. But also, I did manage to play a bit of the GameCube version, but either way though, sadly to tell you, is the fact that I have to get another copy of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube, because much like the forms of 2014, is the fact that my copy of the game doesn't work, and it doesn't matter what platforms I was going to be able to be playing on, either the GameCube or Nintendo Wii. And I tried both of those things up, and turns out it doesn't seem to work. So as a result, I'm just very, very ticked off by that fact. Even though it only cost me for about, I would say about £3 or something like that, at least assuming that's what I was going to be thinking of. But chances are though, I actually got myself ripped off from that, with that particular common error. Although it's usually more likely the common error these days now, especially noticeable if you ever get the game used, then obviously you get ourselves the forms of opportunities to get ourselves the error screen super easily. Although luckily I did manage to able to actually pick it up again, and as a result, it did manage to work on specifically on the Wii, on my Nintendo Wii actually. So as a result, that you remember in our Let's Play of the game, that basically we did manage to able to play it on not only for the Nintendo Wii, but also that it actually just managed to get ourselves the 60Hz mode sorted, because, again, as far as we established that before, try not to play it on the 50Hz mode on the GameCube, PAL GameCube version, because of how the fact that you might able to come across into a jump glitch. So yeah, as far as I can usually just try to say for this point right there, so you know. But then again, as you can tell for this point, is the fact that this is super, super useful. I actually did manage to look upon any other game guides or anything like that, but this is definitely one of the most definition of a good recommendable strategy if you really want to able to spend on something for those shiny objects. Of course, we've already managed to be completely done with all these shiny objects, collectathon and such, but conveniently to say that we did manage to at least able to actually done with spending shiny objects in the level environment in order to progress. Because after all, after we were able to actually completely done with SpongeBob's dream, after all, this means that the only thing he needs left now is of course trying to spend on the more shiny objects to Mr. Krabs, so that way we can able to get ourselves the last few, well, Golden Spatulas before we move on to the final thing in the whole entire game. So, because yeah, chances are though, there's not much else I can talk about apart from the fact that we actually we're getting close for this point. I was normally trying to able to actually do the fastest editing time, but able to actually spare me for some time for the forms of commentary and stuff like that. But there's not much right to home about, because after all, that we actually getting very at the end of the game, for the sake of the forms of this particular Let's Play itself. And as far as any other Let's Players are concerned, well, of course, I still need to get back into Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, which it eventually would happen, during at some point in September. So, but either way, though, we can expect this much, as I established that from before. So, but even then, though, there's not much else I really must confess by that point. So, but either way, though, we'll try to keep on falling off, and because if you keep on falling off and just keep on dying in the process, then that way the Tikis themselves were able to actually respawn onto the exact same locations, including the forms of that particular, the top portion of that particular sand castle, as you can see from on screen. So, because yeah, chances are I still need to recommend that particular strategy. Or else if you really want to do it normally, you can't just walk on foot and then just trying to able to utilize that particular bouncy thing, and that way you can able to actually ground pound for those a whole bunch of tikis in that one particular spot. But if you want to do it a little bit more quicker, that you have to beat Robo Patrick, as in the forms of the next boss fight, by the way. And that way you would be able to actually access to the bubble missile ability, and that way we can able to actually just, well, aim on that particular whole bunch of stack of tikis, as you can see, and then just keep your eyes open with that particular combo thing, as you saw on screen, that just immediately fades away. So what I'm going to try to do here is the fact that I'm also able to aim for almost near to about 40,000 or something, but even then I'm probably not going to guarantee to do that right away, because I don't want to wasting time during the forms of the exact same process over and over and over again, if you really want to able to bank up your, you know, shiny objects collectathon, as you can tell, and that way we can able to actually just to realize that if you manage to able to reach for about a maximum amount of those you know, shiny objects. Specifically, the highest amount you can get is 99,999 of these things. Well, though, that's certainly possible I can able to do that, but I don't feel like trying to do that for the sake of this Let's Play for this point, guys, because I know that I just really want to able to get the next few Golden Spatulas by Mr. Krabs, I should say. And also, same applies to that, if I do ever come back into that particular thing itself again, and during at some point in the next video, in this case the finale of this Let's Play in general, then by all means, I will definitely go ahead and do that, just for the sake of the forms of trying to able to actually just to show you guys, you know, the 100% completion in terms of this particular game itself, as you can definitely notice from this fact.
Just met the Sponginator.
Yeah, you certainly are, SpongeBob. At least despite the fact that we're trying to able to get a little bit of distractions when it comes to little things, like specifically as you saw, that I'm trying to still able to keep on grinding for more of those, you know, shiny objects, as you notice. So, but either way though, there's not much else I can say about this here, but either way, that's how it goes basically. So either way, I suppose there's quite a few things worth talking about, and that was the fact that, well, recently, for what I've noticed something, is the fact that I'm pursuing recently that Piglet has now recently finished up with his entire Let's Play of, well, he's obviously, well, it's hard to explain about this sometimes, I'll have to admit though, I have to be honest here. But basically what happens is the fact that recently, that Piglet has now recently finished up with this entire Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest recently, and chances are that the next Donkey Kong Let's Play we're about to be doing until likely for next year, that of course is Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble for the Super Nintendo. So as a result of that kinds of stuff though, that's all I can really just trying to say about this for the most part. And especially noticeable how the fact that I know you guys are probably going to say, aren't you going to do Donkey Kong 64 and join at some point as well? Well, I would love to, but seemingly to say, well, I started recently managed to able to, well, completely done with like 101% of the whole game recently. And as far as trying to able to actually be ready for that, well, we'll find out and see what happens and during at some point until 2021, or let me know in the comments below if you want to let me try to able to go through, you know, Donkey Kong 64. Although, right after, whenever we're done with Donkey Kong Country 3 first, and then Donkey Kong 64, maybe until at some point in 2022, at least we still got enough time for able to actually just to tackle through other Let's Plays in the future. Specifically, you know, some more Mario parties, and also same applies to any other stuff at this point. So, but either way though, there's not much else I can usually just try to think about this for the sake of time. So anyways, let's go ahead and keep on dying right here. And I think I'm also able to spend about, let's just say, 8 more minutes in the sake of the forms of, you know, grinding for more of those shiny objects, as you know. So, but either way though, there's not much else I can really just try to think about this for the sake of time. So, anyway, let's go ahead and keep doing that. And I was normally going to do this as in post-commentary for the sake of this section right here. But obviously, guys, there's not much else I can really talk about this, because as a result of that specific matter, that's again, there's not much else I can talk about, because again, we are filled to the brim with bare bones amount of news or anything else for that resides. Especially noticeable that how the fact that it's still 2020 is like a really rough year, which is pretty understandable because of, you know, chaos moments here and there in America, and also same applies for the most annoying thing in this whole world, and that's of course the coronavirus pandemic, which as a result has always been, it becomes like a problematic experience for in terms of everything else for this part. So, but you know, you get the picture for this point right there. So either way, let's just go ahead and you know, just keep on grinding some more shiny objects, and yeah, I guess there's not much else I can think of, so even then no, because chances are, I do apologize if my commentary itself is a little bit too sloppy for the most part, just because, as I said before, that there's not much else I can talk about, because even then though, that despite the fact that we're actually getting getting close towards the end of this game, basically, as I said this countless amount of times already, but as a result of that kinds of stuff, though, that's all I can think of, so even then though, no matter what though, I don't know if I can do one more try if I'm able to do this for the sake of time, but we'll see what happens here, and assuming if I was able to pull off that particular cool combo, which it doesn't say on here, regrettably though, but hopefully if I do this the insane amount of times, then I would be able to actually just keep on come across into the exact same combo caption, as you can tell. So, but either way though, we'll just see what happens if we manage to utilize this thing again. And there we go, Super Ultra Mega Monster combo right there. So, but either way though, you're gonna have to keep on doing that a lot, by the way. And because if you really want to get even more shiny objects, then chances are that you should be able to actually guarantee to actually just, well, grind for more shiny objects. If you keep on coming across into that particular the combo catchphrase, as you can see right there on screen, even though despite the fact that I keep on, like, not getting some of these notifications, well, to be more specifically, yeah, that's all I can think about it. Again, I must admit though, I do apologize for the lack of commentary for the sake of today, folks, but don't worry, until when it gets to the point or actually, to be fair for this point, is the fact that, well, recently today is of course, today's day is the Tuesday, it would say it's like Tuesday today, so even then though, as a result, that's obviously that we will try to able to finish that Let's Play before summer's about to be finished. So as a result, that today's day is of course, adjourning form to this uploading schedule is 25th of August today, so even then though, because chances are that once the summer event is about to be finished and done for the sake of this year, then hopefully this Let's Play will be finished by then. So even then though, I think I might as well do one more in terms of likely trying to do this particular method as far as I'm aware, but must admit though, in terms of likely just trying to do a lot of distractions later, then although originally I was able to actually just try to insert that particular iconic the title or time cards, you know, with the actual SpongeBob TV series, whenever they always try to put up a, you know, eventually or later kind of like title or time cards. We'd love to do that for the sake of the forms of the entire humor about this, but unfortunately though, it's the fact that my Rockstar video wave doesn't allow me to do a lot of processing, editing stuff. Specifically, if I was trying to imagine if I was able to create a new intro or something, introducing forms of that particular program, but chances are though, it just keeps on crashing most of the time, so as a result of that, for sake of this matter, that it just always tends to happen whenever I was trying to do a lot of editing stuff like this. But I digress. So I think for the most part, I think we should probably say this right now. We'll take a break for this particular method, as you can see right there. And we're about to be hit back into the Bikini Bottom Hop world. And we should be able to actually spend quite a few amount of those shiny objects to Mr. Krabs potentially. And we should be able to actually get ourselves a full of completionist in terms of, well, Mr. Krabs' selections of missions. Even though we've already almost done with certain worlds throughout the whole thing, even though we've only got about one more thing left, and that is until when it gets to the point until at some point on this coming Thursday, which is on the 27th of August. So we can expect this much we'll be able to actually... Oh, shut up. Besides, I've already know about the actual thing already, god damn it. But anyway, so let's just get on to the taxi we go, and, you know, we're able to actually just, well, I would say the highest amount of those shiny objects you can able to spend on, well, I haven't really exactly done my calculations all that much, just because of how the fact that, well, it gets a little bit more progressive until when it gets to the point whenever you're trying to able to spend on more shiny objects for the sake of time. So, but either way though, we'll go ahead and talk to Mr. Krabs for the final time, and we should be able to actually just to get ourselves the, of course, there's another golden spatula, and that brings us to 94, and we should be able to actually get up to about 98 of those golden spatulas before we get ourselves the final 2 golden spatulas, which, fundamentally speaking, it was actually in the chunk bucket itself. So even then though, hopefully we should able to make this a case. So, but either way though, as far as getting to the forms of 40,000 shiny objects to get ourselves the final shiny object spending reward, which appears to be on the theater building, as I said before, that we'll save that until the finale portion and during at some point on this Thursday. I do apologize with the actual misleading days as far as beyond a belief. This is probably because of how the fact that there's not much else I can talk about, and plus there are some pretty bare bones kind of news or updates or anything else for that besides. I have to be honest for this point right there. So, anyways, as you can see, we've pretty much collected everything, all except for those 2 golden spatulas in the chunk bucket's lap, as you can see on screen, and as a result, oh man, we need to reach for about 7,500 shiny objects in order to be able to actually spend on the last few bits in here and there. I guess that makes it pretty obvious for the sake of time. But anyway, let's just go ahead and tell you what for this point, guys. Assuming because of how the fact that we're actually getting towards the end of 100% completion of this game, I thought to myself I was able to head back into Goo Lagoon for the final time, and as a result of that kinds of stuff though, I'll explain more details about this and join at some point on Thursday. So, anyway though, I guess we should probably end things off here, so join me next time when let's play SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. It's the fact that this might actually be the finale, as I said before, but first of all, we'll try to able to grind for some more of shiny objects, and eventually we'll able to stop Plankton's plans in the end. So see you guys until on Thursday. Later fellas.